Boom. Let's get it. What do I want to call this? Making the case? Live Q&A. Does that sound better? Q&A. What's going on, Alexandria? Sis, you gotta holler at me. I ain't heard from you in a minute, sis. Live Q&A for future lawyers. It doesn't have catch to it, but it's fine. Okay, let me pin it. Put the volume all the way up. What's going on, Miss Jordan? Miss Jordan, holla at me. I know I sent you a message. I got a mentor for you. All right, so hello, y'all. How y'all doing today? My name is Anthony, of course, founder of Becoming JD, where our mission, our goal, of course, is to help get more brown and black folks into law school, because we know that we are needed, and oftentimes, you guys, with those things that we think are barriers are actually things that give us an opportunity to show why we are really, really worthy of being able to go to law school. I do not think that anybody is GPA, LSAT, red flag, disqualifies them from law school. And of course, your boy is the proof. I had a 0.6 GPA and got multiple law school acceptances, and of course, graduated and did my thing. And of course, now we help you guys do y'all thing as well. And so I'm really excited about tonight. Of course, we got the holiday coming up, and I know a lot of you guys are in different spaces, and I wanted to, first off, by telling you guys, I want you guys to be encouraged. I know oftentimes during this journey, it could be a lot of ups, but it sure as hell is a lot of downs. And so I want you guys, I hope that the post that we put out for you guys have been able to connect with and relate with, because I know it's hard, y'all. I know it's hard, and I wish I could be able to touch every last one of you guys. And so if, in fact, you are going through having some challenges, we don't even have to have a session. Just shoot me a DM, because I want to make sure that you guys are doing all right, okay? What's going on, GQ? What's going on, fam? So, of course, as we start most of our chats, go ahead and let me guys know where it is that you're viewing our session from. Of course, I'm holding it down in Missouri. And my son asked me to explain this zebra right here. He's like, they gonna think that's weird. But me and my family, we have what we call EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And their symbol is the zebra. It's a connective tissue disorder that unfortunately led to the loss of my daughter. And so we really tried to team up with Ehlers-Danlos to try to bring awareness. That, of course, doesn't happen till May. But, of course, that's where that is. And my son said, you got to explain it, or otherwise people going to ask, why you got a zebra up there? So, nevertheless, we got Miami in the house. Jersey holding it down. Dallas, Texas. I see you, Marquita. Illinois, Mrs. Officer. Do your thing, sis. Who else we got in the house? Candy, where you watching our session from, sis? And so, of course, on tonight, I'm excited. Of course, making the case, one of the things we always do is have guests come on. And I swear for God, y'all, like, when I saw this amazing young lady come through my timeline, upside down, taking a study break, on doing headstands, I was like, ooh, we definitely got to holler at this young sister. And so she just wrapped up her finals at South Carolina Law School for her 1L year. Yay to all you 1Ls out there. You guys have made it. Step one. And she wanted, and I asked her, and she wanted to be able to bless you guys, because she was literally where you were last year, Candy. And I want to make sure, Candy, that you're going to be where she is next year, okay? So utilize this space, you guys, to ask questions. And, of course, you know, your boy, I always want this space to be a space where you're able to come away fed. So make sure you fill up my chat box, you guys, with questions, because wherever you are in your journey, that could be the bar, that could be law school, that could be LSAT, that could be even an undergrad that's not even ready to apply. I want you to come away from our lives saying, I got something from this, okay? And so make sure you let us know what your questions are. And, of course, we're going to make sure to ask some questions to our special guest. Oh, we got Tulsa. Okay, holding it down. Georgia, of course. Milwaukee. Oh, my God, Milwaukee in the house. Midwest is rolling hard. Okay, who else we got here? Gabby, what's going on, sis? I pray that you did well in your finals. I know you killed it. And so, of course, let's go ahead without further ado. And, of course, I guess before we get her on, I do want to make sure and let you guys know one thing, all right? This summer I did a post where I told you guys about Golden Gate Law School. Unfortunately, I have to report to you, of course, Golden Gate Law School will no longer be offering its JD program. Unfortunately, due to its low bar passage rate, which was like 21%, they had to officially close its doors. And so I share this information with you because I want you guys to make sure that we're being intentional in looking at the statuses of our law schools. Now, of course, it always breaks my heart when a law school closes because, unfortunately, that means it's now another door closed on people who could potentially go to law school. But we have to be able to do our due diligence because I have a couple students at Golden Gate who are now trying to figure out where the hell am I going to do? And I don't want you guys to be in that situation. All right, so make sure you're checking on the statuses of your law schools. We got Jacksonville coming soon. We got Elon coming soon. And so we got other schools that are now being added to the mix. The gymnast. All right, so make sure we fill up our chat box with questions, okay? So let me go ahead and get her on here. Invite. Said Jersey in the building. Okay, I see you as an undergrad. Who would like to become an attorney? All right. What is going on, my
Hello.
I'm so excited to have you here. I told them in the opening, I said how I found your page when I saw that you did a study break and you did handstands in the library. I know the stress be stressing, but boy, sometimes, you got to be able to, you got to unwind some way.
Right. Sometimes it's just nice to be upside down.
And so without further ado, one of the things I'm excited about is we have this space for us to be able to share our stories and also to share our experiences, because I think a lot of times we oftentimes think that we come up with reasons why we can't do it. We come up with reasons why we think it's not possible. We come up with reasons that think, man, this is kind of hard. Maybe that's a sign from God that I don't need to do this. Lie. But nevertheless, I want you to, of course, introduce yourself. Sterlyn, the 1L survivor so far. Go ahead and let these people know about you, and we're going to go ahead and jump into some questions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sterlyn Austin. I'm from Thomasville, Georgia. I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2021. I took a 2-year gap year, did some work experience, and I am currently at University of South Carolina in my 1L year.
And one of the things that's so amazing about your experience is I wanted to interrupt you, but I was like, let me let her finish her intro. Oftentimes people think, hold on. So you mean you can get into law school if you take gap years? I mean, because some people are like, well, it's been a while since I was in school, so they ain't going to take me. So tell them a little bit about like how you spent your gap year, because I think that's important because people are like, I don't know what to do.
So for me, going into my last year, it was COVID year, and I was trying to figure out like what's life after gymnastics? What am I going to do? And so that's when COVID was going on, the whole George Floyd movement was going on. That kind of intrigued me into law, but I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to do with my law degree. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to go to law, I need to at least know how I'm going to use it. And so after that year, I took the LSAT, and then I didn't go in that year. I decided to get some legal work experience. So I accepted the position at Nelson Mullins law firm, and I was able to do some higher education work there, assist K-12 districts and universities, making sure they were in compliance with Title IX gender equity mandates. And that was a really good experience because I was still able to interact with colleges and athletic departments and making sure the men and women were receiving equitable athletics, scholarships, participation opportunities, all of that. And so that was a really great experience. And so after that year, I was like, okay, I think I kind of know what I want to do with my law degree. And so I took another gap year, but then I'm going to say for work experience, but also it was definitely self-doubt. It was like, I know what I want to do, but it was self-doubt playing in my head. Like, I don't know, can I do it? It's really hard. And it was rough figuring out whether I was going to go in that year. And I decided not to go in that year, but everything kind of happens for a reason, because I ended up at the University of Pittsburgh compliance department, and I was still being able to work with head coaches, student athletes, making sure they were following NCAA bylaws. So that kind of furthered my strategy on how I was going into law school and how I was going to utilize my law degree. So that was a great experience there. Love Pittsburgh, go Pitt. And so I applied again. And again, the self-doubt was creeping in because I could have just stayed at compliance department and, kind of worked myself up to that leadership role and not got a law degree. Maybe went and got a master's, but it was still creeping on. The self-doubt was definitely still creeping in. And I didn't have an excuse at that point. I know what I want to do with my law degree. I had the experience and I'm like, okay, sir, what are we doing? Are you going or are you going to be too scared and not go? And I said, the worst thing that can happen is like, I would look back and I would say, like, what if I didn't go? What if I didn't even try? I would look back and I would probably regret that. So I said, the world's not going to end. Just go. So I decided to go and I'm here.
And for you guys who, of course, has joined us, we are on with Sterlyn. Amazing story, you guys. 1L, she's doing a damn thing, and she's sharing her story. You guys, don't be shy in the comments. You guys know we all family, cousins, and kinfolk. So make sure you guys ask her some questions, because I know I got a lot of questions. So one of the things I like doing is I love to debunk a lot of the myths, right? And so one of the myths is you got to have a political science or a pre-law major. So go ahead and debunk these myths real quick. Tell me what your major was.
My major was sociology with a minor in criminal justice. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do with that major until like my final year when I kind of had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I've heard you can go to law school with like any degree. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things I tell people, I say, the best thing to do is to go into something that you want, because maybe you do your best.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to doing something else. And so one of the things that I oftentimes think about, and Alexandra, I see you in the chat, sis, make sure you ask this amazing sister a question. I love to call people out. But one of the things I want to ask you is just like, oftentimes we have that moment in our life where it's just like, okay, I got to go now. And I wonder oftentimes, and we all have that experience. Fat Man, she just joined us. She had that experience. I want you to tell me, what was that moment for you where it was just like, okay, I got to stop BSing with myself. Because the thing about it is when you get that security blanket, because sis, I'm sure you were like, man, the NCAA pick me up. I could roll with this and, and, I could make a career out of this. But oftentimes what I call is our affirmation moments, where it's just like something happened or experience where it's just like, I got to go. And I wonder if you could share with us, what was that experience or that story or something that clicked where it was just like, I gotta go. I gotta shoot my shot.
Well, within that role, I kind of felt myself, I don't want to say complacent, but it was like, I was okay. I'm out of school. I'm starting to like get a paycheck. Like I'm getting comfortable, and that's when I was like, okay, I have to go in this year because I'm kind of getting too comfortable with being out of school. And I also talked to my mom, who helped me too. She was like, Sterlyn, like the longer you stay out, the longer it's probably going to be hard to get back in once you like start having a family and all of that. You might as well just go now. And I'm like, well, you're right. You're right. I need to just go ahead and get it out of the way now.
And the beautiful thing, and I'm sure you already realized that now, is the NCAA ain't gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
It's literally waiting for you. Hey, Sterlyn, you want to come back, do a little compliance work? We got you for the summer. So I'm sure that those doors are something that are still open. And so one of the things, and I also love when I looked at your Instagram picture and your profile, is I want to talk to you a little bit about making your law school choice. Because one of the things I love about South Carolina, especially University of South Carolina Law School, is the camaraderie. All y'all sisters are click tight. You guys all look out for each other, and I think it's oftentimes very beautiful. Even I saw the love and support when we posted you for the show. It was all in the chat, and I'm sure we got them on here right now. And I want you to kind of take people through that process. How do I pick a school? Because, it's 197 law schools. How did you go about that process? And I think a lot of people just get overwhelmed with that process. Because, you were open to go anywhere. We went from UGA, the PA, the SC, all around the world, sis.
I would say, well, for me, because I was thinking about staying in Pittsburgh since I was already there. But I'm from Georgia. I'm a South Georgia girl, and I was like, the weather here is just great. And so that was my biggest thing. I was like, okay, if I'm figuring out, I need to at least like the climate and the environment. So I came back south, and also I was thinking of like sports because I was around athletics. So I was like, that actually played a role too. And South Carolina is in the SEC, so I was like, that's a plus. And then also, I connected with the professor that worked at South Carolina. She has expertise in education and in Title IX and all of that. And I connected with her, and I was like, oh, with her expertise, I think she would be like a great mentor for me. And so that helped as well. So I would say like the climate, the what I wanted to go into helped as well. So I would say take all of those factors into choosing your law school.
All right, y'all. Did y'all catch that T? All right, so let's break that T down for y'all to be able to understand what she's saying. What she's saying also the importance of having previous relationships and being able to help you select the school. And so that means that you can't just be picking these schools cold because I'm sure you have people that you talk to that are in your timeline that are friends from UGA or from other parts of your life, and they like miserable as hell at the law school that they went to because they went into a situation they chose based off of maybe tiers or rankings and not based off of familiarity. And so, for example, did you go and visit South Carolina before you chose to go there?
I did, and it was definitely a welcoming environment. A lot of the times, sometimes the law schools can feel very competitive, and it can feel a very intense environment, and it doesn't feel like that at USC. Like it's a great environment to where it feels like people are there to like truly help you, and everyone's just there to truly help you.
Right, because oftentimes what I tell people when it comes to law schools, you got two different schools of thought. You got the schools that run like a business, and that's fine if you're okay with that. And then you got schools that run like a family. And there's no wrong way, but what I tell people is that you know which way that works best for you. And so you have to be able to, the only way you're going to figure that out is by visiting. And so, of course, one of the things, of course, I talk to you about is like, so how does a gymnast go from a career where she's like, I'm going to be doing gymnastics, and to all of a sudden saying, you know what, man, go ahead and hand me that suit. We're about to go to court.
So like I was saying, in my intro on how I went to law school, I didn't figure that out until my last year because life as a student athlete, a lot of times, you're only focused on that sport. It's sometimes hard to step back and say, okay, what's life going to be like if I don't make the pros? What's life going to be like if I don't go to the next level? Like, what is life outside of the sport? And so I never really had time to think about that until my last year because you're kind of forced to think about it. And so, wait, what was the initial question again?
From gymnast to hand me run me my suit. We about to go to court.
Oh yeah. And so I didn't realize that you can actually combine like athletics and law. Like I didn't really know what compliance did. I just performed. I never knew the what goes into making the show happen. And so when I figured out that you can combine athletics and higher education and still work with departments and universities with law, I was like, oh, this is amazing. So that's when I was like, yeah, I want to do this.
And the NCAA, you get into that system, boy, you good. You good and set for life. Definitely. And so one of the things, let's see some of the questions that people have for you. What's going on, Nancy? I always like to call them out. So here we go. Somebody asked, K Prize 12, she said, did you attend law school full-time or part-time?
Full-time. I did think about doing part-time. So I was thinking of staying in Pittsburgh and doing part-time work in compliance and then doing, because law school is expensive. So I was thinking of doing part-time law and compliance. But I was in my head, my thought process was if I'm going to like spend all that money for law school, I want to make sure that I'm getting all the benefits of law school, making sure I have time to take on every opportunity that presents itself. And so that was my thought process going into.
And great question, K Prize 12. And also to add to that, also realize that guess what? I'm sure you can attest to this. There's very little that separates a full-time student from a part-time student. Literally, a lot of I'm sure Sterling's classmates have already said that what you can do is you could start part-time, literally take your summer, take 2 classes, and you're caught up, and now you're a full-time student. And oftentimes, sometimes, even when the admissions process, K-Prize 12, literally they may have it separate. So some people, like I know at Southwestern, if you apply for the part-time program, it's a whole separate admissions process. So sometimes those are some of the things that you want to maybe consider exploring. And part-time sometimes could be convenient. But like like Sterlyn said, hey, it still ain't gonna be cheap.
It will not be.
They're gonna cut you off. You're gonna have to cut a whole check. So let's see here. We got another question. Faith Dawson said, how long did you study for the LSAT during your gap year? How did you balance work and studying?
So I did not. I took my LSAT my last year of college, and I didn't retake it. It was still a valid score, so I just used that one.
And I also think one of the things that I think probably helped you, and I want you to talk about, like, how beneficial was that regimented structure that you got from being in gymnastics? How did that help you, not just for the LSAT, but also for something that's helped you towards your first year of law school? Because I think although it may seem different, it's literally been almost kind of a mirror image of the same thing.
Yes, for sure. I would say time management.
Yeah.
For sure. As a student athlete, you have to make sure you turned in your assignments before you have to get on the plane to go to the competition. You have to make sure you're communicating with your professor. If you can't make a certain due date, or if you can't make certain things, you have to really communicate with your professor. And so I feel like that translated into law school with time management, making sure, I'm staying on top of my readings, making sure I'm scheduling out everything in advance, so I'm not cramming at the last minute. So, and I would even say with teamwork as well, getting to know your classmates, although it's a competitive environment, which I was in doing gymnastics, it's still, you still have to have that team atmosphere. You still have to be like nice to people and just like encourage everyone, because we're all struggling together. Like, we're all in this together. So I feel like that helped, going from a team environment and kind of putting that over into law school.
And so again, you guys who have just joined us, I see you, Toby. I see you, Mr. Don't Quit. We are, of course, live with Sterlyn. She just finished up her first semester of law school. Yes, amazing. And one of the things I want to ask you about, because a lot of people have questions about, like, what is your 1L year like? What did you learn? What are some of the biggest fears? Because I could tell, boy, in that video you post, whew,
I was going through it. Yeah. Going into law school, I could just say when I made the move to South Carolina, I had about 2 weeks before school started, and just sitting around thinking about school was just stressful within itself. Like, self-doubt was creeping in. I had days where I was like thinking about not going at all. I made the move and everything, and I'm still thinking about, should I be here? Should I be going? I don't think this is for, like, it was crazy the first 2 weeks. And then I started getting into it. And it was still a struggle every day. I would definitely say find something that you love to do, love to enjoy. Like, mine is working out. And so that definitely decreased the stress. But it was a daily battle, but I would say it's rewarding. If you like challenges, the challenges that law school gives you are also rewarding, because it feels like, I can do this. I overcame this. It makes you feel like you've accomplished things daily, literally daily, cold calls and everything. I would go into class scared. Ooh, I would be scared. And I would, have my brief ready, everything. I would be so scared. But then once I walk out, I got over a cold call. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad, Sterlyn. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. And so, yeah, and it just made me feel accomplished every day.
And so we got people throwing you a whole bunch of love. You got Miss Mila, so proud of you. Go Wild, sis. JSN. I love this. Rama Austin, yes, sis. One of the things that also I want to ask you about is, what did it teach you about yourself? Because I feel like one of the things that I'm sure you're going 1L year, I feel like the biggest thing is learning what works for you, and also having to unlearn a lot of bad habits. Because mine was, I was the crammer. I had to learn that, and I thought I really knew how to write. No, I didn't. So what is one of the biggest lessons you learned about yourself during this first semester?
I would say, during your 1L year, you get a lot of advice from a lot of people, and that can maybe kind of throw off sometimes what you already know, how you work. And so some people are saying like study groups, do this and that. But I know for myself, even in college, I studied alone. Like I'm someone who feels more productive when they're alone. So I tried out study groups for a little bit, but that because people advised me to do that, like, oh, get in study groups, and that just wasn't my thing. And I knew that from the beginning. I knew that coming in. That's not how I operate. So I feel like sometimes advice is good, but make sure you still remember how you operate and what works best for you. And what did I learn about myself? Also, I would definitely say, if you're religious, faith for sure. There'll be times, I'm driving in the car, I'm having a whole talk with God. Like, God, what is going on right now? What is going on? And it's crying moments and stuff. But at the end of the day, I feel like my religion definitely got stronger because I feel like, he wouldn't have brought me this far just to leave me. So it definitely grew with that.
I want you to repeat that whole part you said again. He would not have brought you this far. What?
Just to leave me.
Okay.
Oh, he wouldn't have brought me this far just to leave me.
And I want you guys to realize also, it's just like, man, I remember someone once told me, when I started complaining, it was like, this is what you asked for. I was like, okay, that made me eat all my words up. Like, this is what you asked. Didn't you try 3 years to make this? Yeah. So I was like, all right, let me wipe my tears and go through.
And it's actually okay. I feel like I've had many breakdowns. I'll give myself 15, 20 minutes, cry it out, break down, and then it's like, okay, I feel better. All right, let's get to working. Let's get to it.
And so one of the things I want to ask you is because, what was like, how has the community that you have at South Carolina been helpful and supportive of you? Because I'm trying to tell people when they go to law schools for visits, I tell them, I said, y'all need to holler at Bossa, y'all need to holler at Lawsa, y'all need to holler at these people to find out what the vibe is at the school. And one of the things I say, you tell me if this is true or not. I tell you, if you try to find their Bossa page and they don't have one on Instagram, that's a red flag. Because if you ain't got an Instagram page for Bossa, that means either one, you're inactive, or two, it's just nothing happening, bro.
I agree. When I was thinking of staying in Pittsburgh, I was thinking of going to Duquesne Law. It's a great law school as well. And I really like I feel like if it wasn't, I'm just not a cold person. I just love the South. But it was a great school and I was highly considering it. And the Bossa chapter there, the people up there, after the visit, they took all of the people of color and they took them to dinner. And we all had like a one-on-one chat and they were just being real with us about everything. And I felt like that was just so great to hear and so great that the school allowed them to take people of color and just integrate with other people that's already at the school. And I was like, oh, that has never happened at any of the other visits. So that felt good to me. And then also coming to USC, I was able to get connected with the Bossa people there, and I was able to have Zoom sessions with them, and they, giving me the one-on-one, what it's like.
And the thing that's amazing about what you said is it's like, I just thought to myself, I was like, you know what, though? Of course, this may sound like legal humor, but I don't know. After affirmative action, if they could be able to break us up in groups anymore and take one group out to dinner and lead us, and taking them to dinner, y'all stay here. I don't know if they would let that fly anymore. Somebody may have some arguments.
Right. And I think for that school there, they really needed to raise their diversity rates. So, but I thought it was a great idea that they did that because it's like, oh, like you really want me to come here. Like it made me feel very, very welcomed.
And that law school was Duquesne, right?
Duquesne Law. That was a great law school.
You guys add Duquesne to the mix. I have to put them on the list. That's one of them schools that people hear about but don't know how to spell. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought it was like Duquesne being like for the longest. And then someone's like, it's Duquesne. And I said, oh.
I mean, you got Duquesne's like that, and you got Quinnipiac like that. And schools, I know we look at it and say, nah, nah. But one of the things I try to encourage people is like, in order for us to be able to increase representation, we got to go to places where we're not at in order to build that. And so one of the things that's oftentimes amazing is either one, you either see a community that you could join. I mean, the sisters in South Carolina, because I went to Charleston School of Law, so I was up at South Carolina all the time. And so seeing in that same camaraderie that I saw, like when you had your study group and that video that you posted, I was like, oh, she's squad tight, got the tribe. Everybody needs a tribe to be able to have a support system. Yeah, we study by ourselves, but you need that tribe, you guys, in order to help you get through things. Because, like you said, we gonna cry. And I'm man enough to say I cried. I threw books, cursed out books, and everything else, but that's just a part of the process. And let's see, if somebody asked a question and said, where can I find the BALSA? What's the Instagram you're talking about we should look for? Well, every law school has a Black Law Student Association. And of course, most also have a Latino Law Student Association. Also, they have Asian Pacific Islanders student associations. And these are organizations that oftentimes, they kind of serve as a support group. Of course, one of the things that our PWIs, they all kind of click tight all together anyway. We do everything together anyhow. And it's just a wonderful resource to be able to find out the real about a law school. Because, we'll see on the websites, you'll see the still pictures of us, but you'll never get to see how our experiences are. And so one of the things I also want to ask you about is, what is a bit of advice? What did you do to get over your self-doubt? Because there's a lot of sisters and brothers out there, sis, who are literally saying, and I'm sure you've heard this before, you know what? I'm just going to wait till next year. This time's not right. No, I'm just going to wait. 24, 25.
I think you definitely need to give yourself, you have to set a timeline. You can't keep, because that'll just keep you in a loophole. So I would definitely say, maybe set a goal. Okay, I'm going in this year, and like stick with it. You have to stick with it. But I would say, honestly, if you have a support system, my mom, my sisters, my cousins, my friends, they held me accountable for sure. Because they knew I wanted to go to law school back in college. And so my friends would call me sometimes. They're like, Sterlyn, when you going to law school? And I'm like, girl, I'm going, and they're like, okay, Sterlyn. And so like my mom too, like I mentioned earlier, she'll say, Sterlyn, the longer you stay out, the longer it might be harder for you to go back. You need to go back now while you don't have a family and a kid. You need to go now. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So she was on me, and my sister was on me. So if you have a strong family support system that can hold you accountable, I would suggest that.
And and if you don't have that, you always have Becoming JD. We're here for you. One of the things I tell people, once you become a guest, you're part of the family. And I'm sure you'll have people start reaching out to you, asking questions. And so one of the things I want you guys to be able to understand is that oftentimes on this journey, and I'm sure Sterlyn can attest it can get lonely. This whole journey, every step of the way, a lot of times it's a battle of what's going on here. And literally the whole process. And so we created Becoming JD so you guys should be able to have people who look like you do things you want to do. You're seeing them struggling. You're seeing them overcome. And it's just like, oh, all right. So me retaking the LSAT, well, sis did it. She good. Oh, well, I want to be a judge. Because the judge we posted today, Sterlyn, he went to a so-called third-tier law school. But now he's a federal judge in Michigan. And so it's all about us being able to see that we can win. And yeah, we may lose in the process, but, wipe it off and get up and keep on winning.
Right.
How many other questions people had for you? Somebody said law school comes with many tears, but God will definitely wipe each one. You're right, boy. You're right. Let's see here. Yes, ma'am. Do what works for you and keep God first. Amen. We going to church today, Sterlyn.
Hallelujah.
I know someone's so proud of you. And so some of the other things I want to ask you is like before you made a decision for South Carolina and you visited Duquesne, how did you go about making your list of schools to be able to kind of choose between? Because that's a process I think a lot of people kind of push to the side because it's just overwhelming.
That is, I would So for me, it was always geographic. That was my starting point because I love my family. I like to be close. I like warm weather. I'm a Southern girl, so that was definitely my starting point. And then I had a whole chart. So I had like the prices, and then I would even look up the median scholarship that they're giving out. So I'm comparing. And then I'm also looking at the employment rate afterwards. That was on my chart as well. So it was just a big chart. And yeah, location was a big thing. Location was a big thing for me.
So the thing about it is, and the thing that's amazing, that I think what happens, Sterling, is now we're in a time where we have so much access to so much information, we kind of just get paralysis by analysis. And so what Sterling talked about, you guys, is making a list of your schools, not just writing their names down, but we really have to be as intentional. Like she said, she wanted to see the employment rates. So where'd you go to get that information, the employment rates at, so people can know?
I wish I knew off the top of my head. I think I was just typing it. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was about 2 years ago. I don't remember, but I'm sure you could find it somewhere like law school employment rates. And it was, I can get back to you on where.
Right, the information, literally type it into Google, and it'll literally show you what the employment rates are. But listen, what did she not say? Did she say anything about tiers and rankings? No. What she talked about is finding schools that are going to be able to fit and match her energy, you guys. You gotta find a school, because sis, I got somebody who sent me a message yesterday who was at UCLA, which is a great school, but she's miserable as hell there. She's like, I should not have chosen this school. It doesn't match me. She said, I feel isolated, I feel lonely, and it's just me by myself. And so you want to be able to, because one of the goals you guys have to understand is the reason why you got to pick the school that matches your energy, because that's how you're going to perform your best.
I agree.
And I mean, let's be honest, because one of the things that happens in law school, and I'm sure Sterling can attest to this now, if you think you're going to take all the classes that you like, no, that's not going to happen. Literally, I think the most important class that I took my first year of law school, it was the class I hated the most, and that was civil procedure. What class did you hate the most?
I've only taken crim, torts, and contracts and legal writing. So I take criminal procedure next semester. So I'll get back to you.
And so, which class just drove you the most insane?
I would say my torts class, but that's only because the professor, we didn't have a book, a schedule. He taught torts in his own way. So it was definitely different. It was hard to get outlines from people. He was just in his own thing.
Own torts book.
Mm-hmm. No, he literally created his own torts book.
Got my own treaties. But, hey, I want to thank you for taking some time, because listen, you guys, finals is a lot. It is a lot. And the fact that you were able to take some time, because I know right now you're kind of recovering. And I mean, you guys out there, listen, you guys think the LSAT is hard? Listen, finals is going to bring you a whole new situation that you've never been prepared for, but also you're going to grow so much from it. How did you feel, Sterlyn, when you finished finals? When you just like, last final, how did it feel when you walked out?
Last final, people can even tell I put on my video a whole video. Like, I felt like I was like that girl. I was like, oh my goodness, I did that. Like, I studied, I grinded, and I did. Oh yeah, I was so excited. I was on top of the world. But the whole process was definitely hard because law students, you miss Thanksgiving. And so I wasn't able to go home for Thanksgiving. And that was like, it was really sad because my family, they're FaceTiming me, calling me, and it's like, I'm not there. And I feel like that was the most heartbreaking thing because I have to study, but yeah, that was hard. That was the hardest part of finals for sure.
And Jay Essentials, all in your business, he said, how do you feel going into your second semester?
I feel, well, with law school, I haven't got my grades back. So right now I feel like I did okay, but I feel like I don't necessarily know until I get the grades back. But I do feel that was the thing. Going through my first semester, I was like, okay, if I can get through the first semester, it's doable. Like, I can do it. I feel like that's the only thing that was, stopped me in the beginning. Can I do it? So I finished my first semester. Now I can do it. It's doable. You just got to put in the work, but it's doable. You might cry. Might be sad some days, but it's doable. So I feel more confident. I feel 110% a lot more confident than coming into law school. So that will definitely help me going into my second semester.
And one of the amazing things that you guys will also experience, oftentimes, you know, we give a lot of attention, justifiably so, to the courses, but oftentimes that litmus test for us that I think helps us get through is that legal research and writing. Because we're able, at least I get one score that I could be able to see. Because for you guys who are not out there, everybody in the first year of law school has to take a legal research and writing class. And during that process, boy, you're going to learn a lot of things about yourself. You're going to realize what the difference is between writing with rules and writing with creativity. And creative writing does not work in law school. It's about the blue book and the rules. And so how did you go about going through that process? Because I know for me, I was a creative writer, and that just didn't fly. After my first memo, I realized follow the rules. Stuff got to look like everybody else. If it looks like everybody else's, then I'm good.
I'm someone, you know, if I have a question, I'm going to ask. If I'm confused, I'm going to ask. Or I was at the professor's office quite a lot trying to figure out, like, how do you want me to write this? Am I writing this correctly? Am I citing? Because citations with the blue book, that's a whole nother ball game. I'm like, now I got to do citations, and it was just a lot. But going to my professor and just speaking with him one-on-one, trying to figure out, am I on the right track? That definitely helped me a lot.
And Sterlyn, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I again want to tell you thank you so much for joining us. And Sterlyn, if people want to ask questions about South Carolina Law School, ask questions about your time management, because, hey, we all could use some help in those areas, where can they be able to hit you up at?
My Instagram, Sterlyn_Austin, or if you would like my email, sterlyna@email.sc.edu.
And so, listen again, Sterlyn, again, thank you so much. And of course, I want to give you the last word before we close. So, what is one last word of encouragement that you have for somebody out there who's on the verge of giving up or thinking about, you know what, I'm going to try again next year? Sterlyn set out 2 years. I can sit out 2 more years.
Girl, go. Don't waste any more time. You can do it. You are capable. Your mind will play tricks. It will play games on you. But like we talked about, God is there, and you can do it. Just release the doubt. What can happen? What can happen? What's the worst that can happen if you go?
There we go. And that's the final word, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, for making the case. Thank you so much, Sterlyn. And you guys continue to fight for your lawyer dreams. All right. Peace and blessings, you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.